Hello. We're gonna get back into shells onto part 10. Since it is my endeavor to multiply all the dialectical shadings by which the imagination confers life upon the simplest images, I should like to note a few references to the offensive capacity of shells. In the same way that there are ambush houses, there exist trap shells, which the imagination makes into fishnets, perfected with bait and snap. Pliny gives the following account of how the pea crab's muscle finds its sustenance. The blind fish shell opens up, thus exposing its body to all the small fish playing about. When they sense that they can enter with impunity, they become emboldened and fill the shell. At this moment the crab, which is on the alert, warns the mussel by means of a little bite, upon which the latter closes the shell, crushing everything that is caught between the valves, then divides the prey with its partner. In the way of animal stories, it would be hard to do better. To avoid multiplying examples, therefore, I shall repeat this same fable, since it is borne out by another great name. In Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks we read, "An oyster opens wide at full moon. When the crab sees this, it throws a pebble or a twig at the oyster to keep it from closing, and thus have it to feed upon." Da Vinci adds the following suitable moral to this fable: like the mouth that, in telling its secret, places itself at the mercy of an indiscreet listener. Extensive psychological research would be needed to determine the value of the moral examples that have always been drawn from animal life. I only point this out in passing, however, since our encounter with the problem is quite accidental. But there are names that tell their own story, such as the name of the Bernard l'Ermite, or hermit crab. This mollusk does not build its own shell, but, as everyone knows, goes to live in an empty shell. It changes when it feels too cramped for space. The image of the hermit crab that goes to live in abandoned shells is sometimes associated with the habits of the cuckoo, which lays its egg in other nests. In both cases, nature seems to enjoy contradicting natural morality. The imagination, wedded by exceptions of all kinds, takes pleasure in adding resources of cunning and ingenuity to the characteristics of this bird squatter. The cuckoo, we are told, after making sure that the setting mother bird has gone, breaks an egg in the nest in which it plans to lay. If it lays 2 eggs, it breaks 2. In spite of its identifying call, the cuckoo is also past master in the art of concealment. It loves to play hide and seek, and yet no one has ever seen it. As often happens in real life, the name is better known than the bearer. Who, for instance, can distinguish between the russet and the blonde cuckoo? According to Abbe Vincelot, page 101, certain observers have maintained that the russet cuckoo is simply the gray cuckoo when it is young, and that if some migrate northward and others southward, with the result that the two species are not to be found in the same locality, it is because among migrant birds, old and young rarely visit the same country. Is it any wonder, then, that this bird, with its instinct for secrecy, should have been credited with such powers of metamorphosis that, for centuries, according to Abbe Vincelot, page 102, the ancients believed that the cuckoo became transformed into a hawk? Musing upon a legend of this kind, and recalling that the cuckoo is an egg thief, I suggest that the story of its turning into a hawk might be summarized in a scarcely altered version of the French proverb, "He who steals an egg will carry off an ox."